There definitely appears to be a dichotomy, whether it's front of the airline that is yielding massive profits and great demand. Similarly, in hotels, luxury hotels are doing better, whereas the economy is struggling. Low cost carriers, I understand, appear to be struggling. I don't know whether that's a structural issue or just the way the economy is panning out. What can the travel industry do to better prepare for this shift?
Yeah. So a couple of different things, Abid. I think, first is we see premiumization as being somewhat enduring. And what I mean by that is the desire for travelers to want nicer experiences, backed by their willingness to spend on those experiences amongst the part of the economy that is, financially well off, right? Or relatively financially well off, that is going to persist, in part because I think the notion that people are saying, when I travel, I want to do so and do so in well and in comfort. That notion doesn't seem to be disappearing anytime soon. So we suspect that that trend is going to endure. And so what that means effectively is if you're a hotelier or if you're an airline, your ability to deliver that seamless experience to your guest or your passenger in a digital forward way, in a highly tech enabled way, but also in a seamless and frictionless way is quite important. And what we are often telling our clients in the travel sector is to think of their responsibility to their guest or their passenger to start and begin at a very different point than when they actually show up at your doorstep. And what I mean by that is, historically airlines have said, "Oh, I'm responsible for what happens to my passenger once they step on the airplane, or once they give me their bags. But what happens at the airport is the airport's problem." And what happens in terms of luggage retrieval is also, in many instances, the airport's problem. And the reality is that the customer experience journey doesn't work that way, right? So if you take a holistic end-to-end view of saying the reason this passenger is showing up at the airport today is because they want to get on my flight, and the airport is simply a means for them to enable that part of the journey, then you start thinking very differently about the fact that I might be investing a lot of capital in a wonderful lie flat business class seat and an expensive wine list and terrific cuisine in the front of my cabin. But at the same time, if that person had to wait, that same passenger had to wait for 3 hours in airport security, it diminishes from the quality of their overall experience, and they may not enjoy actually the all the luxury that you've put into the cabin. And so consequently, the airline should be thinking of its responsibility to the passenger as starting, even when during journey ideation, not all the way through to, including all the way through to, having the passenger come through the airport, get on board, get to their destination, and then get off the airplane. And the same applies for hotels, right? So the notion that when you are staying at a resort location or a destination, we've been encouraging hotel brands to essentially view their responsibility to the guest as encompassing not just the time that they're spending on property, but also the extent to which they can enjoy experiences at that location that extend well beyond just the physical head in the bed part of the traveler experience at the hotel, right? And that's at the luxury end of the spectrum. But when referring to the mass market, which is an important critical and in terms of number of guests, a much larger part of the market, there it's about delivering the basics in a relatively frictionless way, right? So there was a time, Abid, you might recall that hotels used to try to encourage guests to stop by the front desk so that they can have an interaction point between the guest and the employees. But the reality is that the best experiences these days, in many ways, are ones where you don't have to ever wait in line. You get a digital key delivered to your phone, and you're able to get into your room, And when you check out, you're not waiting in line to do so. You can just simply leave the property, and everything takes care of itself. That can be delivered very effectively at a relatively low cost way, even in the mid scale or lower ends of the chain scale spectrum.